I still remember the morning that changed how I look at exercise forever. It was just after sunrise when I got a call from the emergency department. A man in his early 70s had been rushed in overnight with sudden weakness on one side of his body, slurred speech, and confusion. A stroke. What shocked me wasn't just the diagnosis. It was what he had done the evening before. He wasn't smoking, he wasn't drinking. He wasn't skipping his medications. In fact, he was doing something we tell seniors to do every day. He was exercising. And that's what made me pause, take a deep breath, and ask a question that still stays with me today. Could the wrong kind of exercise done at the wrong time quietly raise stroke risk overnight? If you're watching this and you're over 55 or you care for someone who is, I want you to listen very carefully. Because what I'm about to share is not meant to scare you away from movement. Movement is powerful. Exercise saves lives. But there's a specific type of exercise and a specific way people are doing it that can put unexpected strain on the brain, especially as we age. And most people have no idea it's happening. As a brain doctor, I've spent decades studying blood flow, pressure inside the skull, sleep-related brain events, and how seemingly harmless habits can tip the balance in the wrong direction. And I'll tell you this honestly. Some of the advice seniors hear about staying active is incomplete. It ignores how aging blood vessels behave at night. It ignores how blood pressure changes when we sleep. And it ignores how certain exercises can trigger dangerous spikes when the body should actually be calming down. Let me paint a picture that might sound familiar. It's evening, dinner is done, the house is quiet. You think to yourself, I didn't move much today. Let me squeeze in a little workout before bed. Maybe it's a few intense movements, maybe it's straining, holding your breath, pushing hard because you want to stay strong and independent. You finish, feel proud, and go to sleep. Everything seems fine. But inside your body, especially inside your brain, a very different story may be unfolding. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The brain is extremely sensitive to sudden changes in blood pressure and blood flow. As we age, our blood vessels become stiffer. The natural cushioning effect they once had begins to fade. That means sharp spikes in pressure don't get absorbed as smoothly as they did when we were younger. And when those spikes happen close to bedtime, they don't always resolve before sleep. They can carry into the night, quietly stressing fragile vessels while you rest. I've seen this pattern more times than I wish I had. Seniors who are disciplined, motivated, and trying to do the right thing, unknowingly increasing their risk because no one ever explained how timing, intensity, and breathing during exercise matter just as much as the exercise itself. And the most dangerous part is this. When something goes wrong overnight, you don't feel it coming. You don't get a warning pain. You don't get a second chance to stop. Now, before you panic or think, should I stop exercising altogether? Let me reassure you, absolutely not. The goal of this video is not to take movement away from you. It's to protect you, to help you exercise in a way that supports your brain instead of silently challenging it. By the end of this video, you will understand which common exercise habit raises concern, why it affects stroke risk during sleep, and what simple changes you can make to stay active without putting your brain in danger. I'll also share why this issue becomes more important after 60, how stress hormones and blood pressure behave differently at night, and why some people wake up feeling fine while others suffer life-changing events in their sleep. Most importantly, I'll tell you what I advise my own patients and what I would tell my own family members if I wanted to protect their brain health for years to come. So if you've ever exercised in the evening, if you've ever pushed yourself thinking more is better, or if you've ever gone to bed after a workout feeling your heart still pounding, please stay with me. What you learn next could genuinely make a difference. Let's talk calmly and clearly about what's actually happening inside the body. Because once you understand the logic, this stops being scary and starts making sense. The exercise that raises concern is not gentle movement, not walking, not stretching, and not light activity. The problem comes from sudden, intense exertion that involves straining, breath holding, or pushing hard, especially late in the day. Many people don't even realize they're doing it. They think, it's just a few minutes. It's good for me, but the brain doesn't judge intentions. It reacts to pressure. When you perform intense movements, especially strength-style exercises where you hold your breath without noticing, pressure inside your chest rises sharply. Doctors call this the Valsalva response. You may not know the name, but you've felt it. It's that moment when you're pushing hard, your face tightens, your breath stops, and your body strains. In younger people with flexible blood vessels, the body usually adapts. In older adults, that same pressure can surge upward toward the brain. Here's why nighttime makes this more dangerous. Blood pressure follows a daily rhythm. In healthy sleep, blood pressure should dip overnight. That dip gives the brain's blood vessels a chance to rest and recover. But when intense exercise happens late in the evening, especially within a few hours of sleep, it can disrupt that natural drop. Stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol stay elevated. Heart rate remains higher. Blood pressure may not settle down the way it should. Now imagine aging blood vessels that are already stiffer, perhaps with tiny weak spots that have developed over decades. They rely on stable, gentle pressure. When pressure stays elevated into the night, those vessels are under quiet stress for hours. You're asleep. You don't feel it. But the brain is working hard to maintain balance. In vulnerable individuals, that's when problems can occur. This is where myths need to be cleared up. One common myth is if I don't feel dizzy or bad, it must be safe. Unfortunately, stroke risk doesn't announce itself with pain. Another myth is exercise always lowers blood pressure. Over time, yes. But acutely, during and shortly after intense exertion, blood pressure spikes significantly. Studies have shown that during heavy straining, blood pressure can rise to levels far higher than most people would ever see at rest. In seniors, those spikes matter more. Let me share a real-world example that I see often. A retired woman in her late 60s starts doing aggressive evening workouts she found online. Squats, planks, wall sits, all right before bed, because that's when she has time. She holds her breath without realizing it. She goes to sleep feeling accomplished but slightly wired. Her blood pressure medication works during the day, but overnight her pressure never fully drops. Over weeks or months, that repeated pattern increases strain on delicate brain vessels. Nothing dramatic happens at first. Until one night, it does. Another important piece most people never hear is that sleep itself changes brain circulation. When you lie down, blood flow to the brain redistributes. If pressure is already high, lying flat can further increase pressure inside the skull. Combine that with post-exercise vascular stress, and you have a perfect storm for those at risk. Now, I want to be very clear. This does not mean exercise causes strokes in everyone. Most people exercise safely. But risk is personal. Age, blood pressure history, diabetes, cholesterol, sleep apnea, dehydration, and even evening alcohol can all increase vulnerability. Exercise timing and intensity become the tipping factor, not the sole cause. The shocking part for me as a brain doctor is how rarely this is explained to seniors. People are told to stay active, but not how to stay safe while doing it. They're praised for pushing through fatigue when sometimes the smarter move is gentler consistency. The brain doesn't need punishment to stay healthy. It needs support. In the next part, I'm going to shift from warning to reassurance. I'll show you how to exercise in a brain-friendly way, what time of day is safest, what to do instead if evenings are your only option, and how to protect your blood vessels without giving up movement or independence. These are the same principles I share with patients who are determined to stay strong without risking their future. Now let's talk about what you can do, because this is where peace of mind comes back. You do not need to stop moving. You do not need to become afraid of exercise. In fact, the right kind of movement is one of the best protections your brain can have. The key is how, when, and how hard. First, timing matters more than most people realize. For seniors, the safest window for more demanding activity is earlier in the day. Morning or early afternoon exercise allows your blood pressure, heart rate, and stress hormones plenty of time to settle before sleep. This gives your brain the calm nighttime environment it needs to repair and protect blood vessels. If you enjoy strength training or more effortful movement, that's when it belongs. If evenings are the only time you can move, then the type of movement must change. Evenings are not for pushing or straining. They are for calming the nervous system, not exciting it. Gentle walking, slow cycling, light stretching, balance work, or relaxed mobility movements are far safer choices. These support circulation without forcing pressure spikes. You should feel more relaxed afterward, not energized or wired. One of the most important habits you can build is breathing awareness. Many seniors unknowingly hold their breath during effort. This is one of the biggest hidden risks. During any movement, especially when standing up, lifting, or engaging your core, remind yourself to breathe out gently. A simple rule I give patients is this: if you can't speak a full sentence while exercising, you're probably pushing too hard for that time of day. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Dehydration thickens the blood and makes pressure regulation harder. Many strokes occur overnight in people who didn't drink enough fluids during the day. Make sure you're well hydrated earlier in the day, while reducing large fluid intake right before bed to avoid sleep disruption. Balance matters. Let's talk about common mistakes I see again and again. One is chasing fatigue. Feeling exhausted is not a requirement for benefit. Another is copying workouts designed for younger bodies. Your brain and blood vessels deserve respect for how long they've carried you. Another mistake is exercising right after a stressful day without a cool down. Emotional stress plus physical strain is a powerful trigger for pressure spikes. A smarter approach is to think in terms of consistency, not intensity. Gentle daily movement lowers baseline blood pressure over time. It improves sleep quality. It improves blood sugar control. All of these reduce stroke risk far more effectively than occasional hard workouts. Walking most days, light resistance earlier in the day, balance and flexibility in the evening. This pattern supports the brain instead of challenging it. Diet also plays a quiet supporting role. Heavy, salty, or alcohol-rich evening meals combined with late exercise increase overnight blood pressure. Keeping dinners lighter, with potassium-rich foods like vegetables, and avoiding alcohol close to bedtime helps your vessels relax. Sleep itself becomes deeper and more restorative, which is one of the strongest protectors against stroke. Finally, listen to your body's signals. A pounding heart late at night, difficulty falling asleep after exercise, or waking up with headaches can all be signs that your evening routine is too stimulating. These are not signs of success. They are signs to adjust. In the final part, I want to speak to you not just as a doctor, but as someone who truly wants you to stay independent, active, and mentally sharp for as long as possible. I'll bring everything together, give you reassurance, and leave you with a message I wish every senior could hear. I want to end this by speaking to you quietly and honestly, the way I do when I sit beside a patient or talk to a family member who is worried but hopeful. Growing older does not mean becoming fragile. It means becoming wiser about how your body works now. Your brain has carried your memories, your love, your struggles, and your victories for decades. It deserves care, not punishment. What shocked me as a brain doctor wasn't that exercise can sometimes raise risk. It was how easy it is to make small changes that protect the brain without giving up strength, movement, or independence. Most strokes are not caused by one dramatic mistake. They are the result of repeated stress without recovery. When you understand that, prevention becomes something you can actually control. Remember this simple truth. Exercise should leave you feeling better hours later, not overstimulated at bedtime. Your nights are sacred time for brain healing. When you protect that window, you protect your future. Gentle evenings, steady days, calm breathing, and consistent habits add up to powerful protection. If you take nothing else from this video, take this with you. You are not doing less by choosing smarter movement. You are doing more for your brain, your independence, and the people who love you. Strength is not just about muscles. It's about judgment, patience, and self-respect. I've seen patients make these changes and regain confidence instead of fear. They sleep better. Their blood pressure improves. They feel in control again. And that sense of control is deeply healing. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to support this channel by liking the video. It helps more seniors find information that truly protects them. Subscribe if you want calm, honest guidance focused on brain and senior health. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever exercised in the evening and felt restless or wired afterward? Your experience could help someone else feel less alone. Take care of your brain. It's the home of everything you are.